A lot less body roll in the corner here for sure compared to that 21. Hey YouTube, Untamed here. So behind me is a brand new 2024 Toyota Tundra TRD Pro. It has a god-awful turn radius, a ton of plastic on the interior and exterior, has no tow hooks, has a fake V8 sound pumped through the speaker system because it no longer offers a V8 option, strictly a V6 hybrid now, and the price tag has jumped up $21,000 in the last 3 years. Over that previous generation, this one here cost $21,000 more. That's pretty crazy. So those are the overarching reasons why I have really grown to dislike this platform. And I've been very honest with you guys from the beginning, maybe to my own detriment perhaps, right, with Toyota. But I'm being honest with you guys, and I'd rather be honest with you than to, sugarcoat something that isn't worth sugarcoating, in my opinion. But today, I'm going to try my best to present to you, all the details of this particular one, get behind the wheel again, and really tell you guys if my opinion has changed at all. Right? It's been a while since I owned my 2023 Tundra TRD Pro. I owned this before. It's been a while. I want to see if my opinion has changed at all. I currently own the 21 Tundra TRD Pro. So again, I'm kind of used to that platform. So jumping from that directly to this, I can give you a pretty honest assessment of the differences between the two platforms in this video. So stick with me as I walk through it all. Now, although I've been pretty harsh on this platform, I gotta admit, the more I read your guys' comments, it's pretty clear to me now that a lot of you have experienced this vehicle, and now you too agree with me to some degree, right? I mean, I'm seeing a lot of people who are very much in the same boat of just not being totally impressed with the new Tundra TRD Pro here. Now, in this video, I'm not trying to turn it into me beating up on it. I've done that plenty on my channel, right? I really am going to try to be open-minded as I reassess it, get behind the wheel, and experience it again. So we'll kind of dive through a lot of the details in this video. And when it comes to the actual looks and the aesthetics, we'll start on the exterior. I really do think Toyota did a nice job at making it unique, right? And hats off to them to making the front end pretty aggressive, right? We can complain all day about perhaps the whole Fu Manchu thing. We've talked about it before. But I don't know. I do love that they incorporated the heritage, classic heritage script there for the Toyota. The headlights look pretty menacing. I like that. And I also love these, they're fake, right? But they're also fake in the previous generation, but these hood vents here look pretty cool. So those are some additional style points. I mentioned it before, but I truly believe that these wheels look exceptional. I think they do look better than the previous generation forged BBS wheels. They're definitely unique. You got to give them that. And the fact that they put on these Wild Peak all-terrain tires, that's pretty cool. These AT3Ws, I believe, they look great. And one thing that I remember I never really loved about the previous generation is it didn't have any kind of fender liner like this, or any kind of fender trim. And I personally think that digital camo looks pretty good. So holistically, I appreciate a lot of the design cues up front. I don't love that the front end is a little bit long, and it feels long. When you're driving it around, it does feel like you kind of have to pay close attention to make sure that you're not going to bump into anything with it. So kind of reminiscent of what we found with the third generation Toyota Tacoma. And again, we have a lot more design cues, whereas that previous generation was pretty much just flat straight across. At least we get some kind of fender line design cues above the fenders. I think that looks good. A little bit of a smaller cabin. We talked about that before, comparatively to the previous generation. Some matte black hard plastic handles, like what we find on the previous generation. A single side exit exhaust. I'll let you hear that here in a second. But a TRD catback nonetheless. Dual piped, but single side exit. I think Toyota, maybe they could have done a little bit better with the aggressiveness of the stance, maybe giving it a little bit more width. But technically speaking, with how wide it is, they did have to implement these, DOT required marker lights, right? Kind of like what you'd find on the Ford Raptor. I think the taillights look good. You got the little trick button here. You pop that. Bop. We've all seen that before. Spray-in bed liner here. Tundra embossed in the back. Again, more of that digital camo out back. I think these look sleek though, the taillights. Let me know what you think of those. TRD Pro embossed hugely on the back tailgate there. I think maybe we could have been a little bit more subtle with that. More of the digital camo here. And let me know truly what you think of this Terra color. I don't know. I'm kind of indifferent on it. You know, the more I have it, and I think maybe even darker lighting, I think I appreciate it more and more, to be honest with you. I like Lunar Rock better, but this doesn't look bad. Again, more of those required marker lights out back. It does say TRD in it, if you can see. That's pretty cool. TRD tuned Fox suspension front and rear. All right, now let's take a look at the window sticker. So we are just under 75 grand. And like I mentioned, the 21 cost $54,000 back in 21. So we're up $21,000 for this new generation here. To be fair, there's a lot more tech involved here. We got a pano sunroof. I'll show you all the interior here in a second, but there's a lot more going on with this particular truck. The safety ratings are just slightly better than the previous generation. I think that is a very important note to make with this one, because you know, safety is paramount, right? Especially if you're like me, you got kiddos. So that can't be overlooked. 437 horsepower and 583 foot-pounds of torque. That is pretty staggering, right? I mean, that torque especially is extremely impressive. And I think that often gets overlooked. And by myself too. When I'm driving it, man, I tell you what, I quickly took note of just how quick this vehicle is, right? It throws you in the back of your seat, and it is truly a blast to drive. Kind of wrap out to the front end here again. Remind you, you got flat black on your mirrors here. Black trim here. I've heard people not love this particular bit here, and I think you can actually peel off. I'm pretty sure you can. I'm pretty sure you can. It looks like a vinyl of some sort. And that could have been cut better too, right? I mean, I would expect that to cover the whole thing. But, c'est la vie, right? A small thing. But, yeah, you got black right there nonetheless. But yeah, just between having that long front end and that not so good turn radius, it really does kind of hinder your drivability day to day. You know, super comfortable. I'm talking on both sides of my mouth on purpose here. Super comfortable. The Fox suspension here will absorb everything, every pothole on the road. Super comfortable to drive. But if you're trying to navigate tight spots with it, it is a little bit more difficult. You have that TRD light bar up front, and again, more with the marker lights. I think that looks really cool. And you can't really tell, but you do have the digital camo right down here with your fog lights as well. TRD skid plate. But this just feels, and I'm sure it's in my own head, if you look at the numbers, I'm sure it's probably on par with the previous generation, but it just feels like it sags a little bit lower in the front, kind of how it dips down right here. Kind of a lower underbite, if you will. You know, stuff like that. I think people who buy this, they start to kind of, I don't know, the small, it's like death by 1,000 cuts is, I think, the best way to put it. There's a lot of small things that will just kind of bother you over time. And at least that was what was in my case anyway. Let's look inside. So black interior. We had this on my 23 Tundra TRD Pro, but we also had the cockpit red interior on our Sequoia TRD Pro that we had. Both of them looked really good. Got more of that kind of digital camo look in here. TRD Pro up there stitched. Forgive me guys, it's getting pretty chilly out here. Don't love that very AutoZone Shucks O'Reilly E. But outside of that, I really do like the steering wheel. I like the steering wheel better than the previous generation, no doubt. Minus that, right? If he's got rid of that, it's perfect. Some of your controls here that we're used to seeing. More down here to include your TRD light bar. But, you know, it feels nice, and it is nicer than the previous generation, no doubt. Okay, I want to make that very clear, but it is still very, very plasticky. And when we start teetering toward that $75,000 price tag, you just maybe expect a little bit more. At least I did. Cup holders. I like the TRD little gear selection here, gear shifter. Electric e-brake there. I do think these are cool. Your toggle switches across for your rear center diff lock, your traction control, and your 360 view, and your trailer controls. Same goes for your volume knob there on the left, and your AC control, your climate control buttons all throughout there. Very tactile, and I appreciate Toyota for doing that. So that is cool. Giant 14-inch infotainment screen. Let me hop in. I'll fire it up for you. Remind you what we're working with. Got a red TRD button over here. Put on the brake, push to start. I like that startup sequence. That's cool. A full digital gauge display here. Now you get the hint there. But very intuitive, very Apple-esque, right? I mean, Apple iPad-esque. I mean, it's very, very simplistic to use, not too integrated or too busy when you actually get into using the functions here, and I appreciate that. More of your classic heritage Toyota script over there. I think that's cool. I appreciate that. And all-weather floor mats, your glove box. Overall, pleasant place to be, I would argue. That panel sunroof is extremely nice. Black headliner now, which is great. This is a new addition for 24. Let me show you some of the lighting out here. Actually, let me show you the back seat and then we'll show you the lighting. There's a glimpse there. That door card. Plenty of space. Could it be better? Yes, but not bad at all. Plenty of space for 9 out of 10 people, of course, right? And plenty of headroom with additional little minor cutouts here. Still get the full up and down window out back, which is great. Let's hit this TRD light bar. Here's a good look at the front end. I think I need to have the high beams on perhaps for that light bar. Let me check. I love those marker lights. That looks awesome. Let's check. I think we're on. Let's see. There we go. Pretty cool. Pretty cool that it comes from factory anyway, right? So again, all these things, they start to add up, right? And it's not cheap. It's not cheap to integrate all that tech in here. So I don't necessarily blame Toyota for the price tag that ensued, right? Between that and inflation at large, they kind of had no choice to some degree, and I get it. But it is just a tough pill to swallow for a lot of Toyota enthusiasts. Like blind spot monitors, right? We have that now. It's one thing we did not have in that previous generation. Everything just starts to add up a little bit, unfortunately. So I'll hop in. I'll give you guys a reminder of what it's like to drive this 24 Tundra TRD Pro. All right, let's set off. TRD Tune Fox suspension does a great job at really absorbing everything as you go over it. So that part is great. The turn radius that has been impaired in this generation compared to the last one. Last one had phenomenal turn radius, whereas this one, it is notably worse. So when you combine that with a larger front end, that larger hood, that is something to just be aware of. It definitely throws you in your seat. All right, let's see what the 21 Tundra TRD Pro sounds like with that 5.7 liter V8. All right, here's a little on throttle while we're already at freeway speeds. You know, even at a lower RPM, we're right around 1800 RPMs right now, you still get a little bit of a rumble to this V8 here, even at these speeds, and I really like that at that low RPM. And when we look over the hood, you get that, you know, you get your fake hood scoop there, but personally, I think it just adds to the appeal of this truck. I think it makes it feel a little bit more aggressive, a little bit more burly, regardless if it's fake, right? I do like that look. With the nose being shorter too, it doesn't feel like it's overhanging and extending too far while you're driving, so you don't get too kind of caught up in making maneuvers within a parking lot or tight spaces. I appreciate that. Now this is definitely an area where the previous generation Tundra has a little bit of an ailment, right? It has a ton of body roll. Like as I turn here, it's just leaning and it feels heavy. You feel the heft of this vehicle when you're in corners like that. All right, now underneath the hood we have that 3.4 liter twin turbo V6, hybridized V6 IForce Max. You know, pretty clean looking engine bay. You know, unlike the new Tacoma, we do actually have that top engine shroud, which, you know, that's either a pro or con. People don't really care too much about that, but you know, that new Tacoma kind of looks messy under here to some degree with a lot of wires anyway. But this is a pretty clean looking engine bay overall. And again, between that twin turbo V6 and the hybridized, the electric motors, we are cranking out that 437 horsepower and 583 foot-pounds of torque. That is crazy. And you definitely feel it when you drive it. I want to say thanks again to Ken Garff Toyota here in Cheyenne, Wyoming. You know, them opening the door and kind of allowing me to test drive multiple vehicles has really been something I really appreciate, and I know you guys do too. So shout out to them. You know, if you're looking for a vehicle, whether it's a Ford, Hyundai, or Toyota, you know, check them out here in Cheyenne, Wyoming. And real quick, I'd like to ask, I mean, for the other people who have purchased a Tundra TRD Pro 2022 and up, honestly, tell me your true opinion after owning the vehicle. You know, do you still love it? Are you really enjoying it still? What are your gripes about it? You know, shoot me straight. You know, obviously you bought it, you like it. You wouldn't have bought it if you liked it, didn't like it, right? But, you know, be critical. What are the things that you don't love so much about it? I'd be curious to know your honest thoughts on it. That sounds awesome. You know, so yeah, again, ignorance is bliss when it comes to the sound for sure. Because what I'm hearing in here is very different from what you hear outside of the truck. You guys tell me, honestly, if you think I've been a little too harsh on it, you can tell me, shoot me straight, and perhaps I have been. You know, maybe it's because, and maybe this is a loose scapegoat, but maybe it's because I really do have high expectations and high standards for Toyota. It is my favorite vehicle manufacturer. It's my favorite brand. So I expect a lot from them, and I don't want to be disappointed. And that's why, I mean, I shoot you guys straight, because, I mean, much of my channel obviously has focused on Toyotas. And I want to be honest with you guys. I'm not going to sugarcoat this, not going to make it sound better than what it is for the sake of maybe getting another invite from Toyota. You know, that's not, it wouldn't be true to my form, and I wouldn't feel great about that. And hopefully, I mean, heaven forbid, you know, we provide enough critique on this vehicle, on this truck here, they actually might make it better. How about that? So, start with the turn radius. I think that's the first approach. I don't think we're ever going to see a V8 again, and that's okay. You know, we can make do with this because it really is a thrilling platform. If we can just adjust these other factors, maybe make the price feel more appropriate for what you're getting in here, I think we can actually get to a really good package. So as you guys can see, I am pulling up to the Toyota dealership to return it back to them. Again, I do sincerely appreciate you guys tuning in and watching my videos. If you found any kind of value in this, I would sincerely appreciate it if you consider liking and subscribing. It means a lot. Thanks as always. Until next time.